In this video, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be reviewing the Softube's Console 1 channel MK3, and I'll be explaining why it's the perfect console to have for your studio or, for example, your home studio. This console definitely surprised me. I definitely implemented in my setup besides all the hardware gear I have, because this is very useful. Let's get to the video and let me show you what you can do with this console and how it works. So this is the first look on the Softube's Console 1 channel. Now here, as you can see, we have different sections. So we have the filtering section, we have the shaping, we have the equalizer, we have the compression, and we have the drive section right there. Now the main concept about Softube's Console 1 channel was to get very flexible, so you can basically affect any kind of instrument and basically adapt it to your own workflow, but to also control different plugins using your own hands. So you're basically having a control with both of your hands to make sure you get that analog feeling, because each knob you tweak here feels very analog. So let's first analyze what we have here and what we're actually looking for, because that's the first thing you're interested in when you're using a tool like this. So let's start from the left side and moving to the right side. So we have the input gain, which is the classic feature you see on many plugins, many different processors, and you can tweak this and basically determine the amount of input gain you want on your signal. Consider that one thing about Console 1 channel that I like is, for example, if you set the input gain here, but you want to get back to the stock settings or the default settings at 0 dB, you can just double click and it will automatically get it back to 0. So these knobs, all these knobs you see, are touch sensitive, which is a very unique thing about this console, because each function you touch here, you can see it showing on this screen, which is amazing. Input gain, so now we have the filtering section. You can disable the filtering section here, or you can enable the filtering section and you can control the low cut, or you can control the high cut here. Again, you can reset the values by double clicking. Moving on, we have the shaping section. Now this can be used for various processors. So you have 4 knobs right here. This is the gate or ratio if you're using some compressors, you have the punch, you have the release, but these knobs can be very creatively used. And you have an option to engage 2 processors at one time. So you have one here and you have the second one here. So now by default we have the core shape here. I can disable or enable this, and we have the core panner. So we can also use this tool to, for example, control the depth on our signal, pan the instruments left to right, do many different things. Moving on to the next section, you have the equalizer section right here. And this is basically my favorite section because it has a lot of flexibility I always missed on plugins. I also work with analog gear, but this is what I missed on plugins. You can engage 2 equalizers, again, as for the shaping section, you can engage 1 equalizer, you can engage a second one, and you can have basically both equalizers working on your track. So for example, we have the core vintage and we have the core modern. So you can switch to vintage or you can switch to modern right here. Now here you have bandwidth adjustment, as you can see here. So for example, I can use some gain, I can adjust the bandwidth here, the amount of filter steepness, I can also change the frequency. I can do that for many different bands right here. I can, for example, attenuate, choose the exact frequency I want to, for example, attenuate, lower the bandwidth, and basically do many manipulations. You can also change the filter type, and it's also color coded so you don't make a mistake. So for example, we can switch from bell to low cut, or we can go with shell filter. The same for the high end. We have the bell, we have the high cut, and we have a shell filter, which sounds very nice because you have tons of adjustments. So for example, we can set this to, let's say, maybe 10 kHz, add some boost there, and create a shape that looks like this. Again, you're very flexible. Or for example, you can use another equalizer here, in this case modern one, to, for example, amplify some frequencies. So for example, you can go for, let's say, 10 kHz, you can choose, for example, bell or your shell filter, and again, increase those frequencies, reduce the bandwidth. You can also amplify, for example, your kick here using shelf, or you can, for example, choose the bell filter, choose the different bandwidth you want, find the frequency you want to boost, and you can basically do many adjustments like this. But an amazing thing is that you're not very limited with bands, since you can also press this shift button right here, which engages a second pair of functions for each shape, equalizer, or compression section. By pressing shift, we can see I have many more adjustments right here. So for example, by pressing shift, I can also adjust the slope of my filters. I can use another band here, as you can see. We can do many different adjustments. So shift basically expands the flexibility of this console. Now we also have a very amazing section regarding compression or dynamics related adjustments. So we have the compressor section in here. I can engage the compressor. By default, we have the Core Suite FAT compressor. You can adjust the release, you can adjust the attack by simply turning the knobs depending on how you prefer. And you also have these cool LED lights for the whole console, which is a very nice touch since I'm also a person who really likes when something lights up and gives me a good indicators of what I'm actually doing. We can adjust the ratio here, determine what kind of ratio we want to work for, and we have the amount of compression or the threshold here. By engaging this shift button, we can also adjust the wet and dry here, how much of that blending we want, and we also can choose if we want this auto makeup gain by turning completely to the left, or we can double tap to return to the normal value and then apply the correct amount of makeup gain we want. These knobs are highly precise, so you can go very drastic by turning them quickly, or you can just slow your movement and make sure you adjust very precisely. They really feel analog. You can also gauge a second pair of compressor, so we have the core bus compressor here to, for example, tighten some things up. So again, we can adjust the ratio here, so let's imagine 1.5 to 1. We can adjust the amount of compression, we can choose the exact release we want to work with, the attack time. We can also engage the shift here, choose our range, which some compressors have. We can adjust the knee, which is also very unique, wet and dry, and we have the makeup gain here that we can also fully adjust. Moving on to the drive section. Now, drive section is all about the sound, and this drive section can give a very nice coloration in addition to this tape or preamp knob right here. So you don't really have many controls about this because this engages a very unique tape sound Softube developed, and I really like when I engage this. You're basically bringing more life to this console and actually having that amazing sound to your tracks. So I like engaging this on in some situations, and I like combining that with this drive section right here. So you can, for example, engage drive. So for example, drums, you can use character more or less like this. You can engage panning if you want to pan some instruments to the left or pan to the right, and also reset if you want to the default values. As you have the input gain here, you also have the volume or the output gain here that you can adjust. You can solo, you can mute, you can adjust the volume or the main out volume. You have sends, but the most important thing that you have are these channels. So you can use the Console One plugin, insert it on as many individual tracks you have. You won't have latency. This console is designed to be very fast and to basically prevent any latency. Currently, for the purpose of this tutorial, I have it set to one channel. So for example, you can have this routed as kick, you can have bass, you can have vocals, you can have guitar, piano, you can have as many instruments you want. And also when playing the signal, you'll be seeing LED lights here, which we are about to do a bit later in this video. To switch between different channels, all you need to do is to press, for example, this one or this one, and it will automatically switch to the different channel you routed this for. And if you have the Console One MK3 fader, you can also link this with fader and get even more flexibility. For this tutorial, we're only talking about the Console One channel. Now these two screens are very interesting because you have different modes, so this is not the only mode you have. Again, as you saw, they are very responsive to each knob you touch on each section. So for example, if I touch a compression, this right screen will activate. If I touch this left section, left screen will activate. But you have these two buttons where you can switch between different modes right here. We have the view meter, we have the gain reduction meter, we have the waveform combined, waveform current, we have the shape, we have many different sections that you can select, or you can go all the way to up and you have the adaptive meter. So depending on what kind of signal you're affecting and which functions you're touching, this screen will adapt to that. As well for this one, so it works exactly the same as the left one. So it's a very good flexibility you have using this console. As I mentioned, you have send channels right here that you can use. You have full creativity. You have the bypass, which you can use to basically bypass the whole console, and it also says bypass on both screens. You can engage. This is very useful for some A/B testings. You have the settings. If you want to adjust specific parameters, you can create presets, you can group, you can copy, you can do many different things. You also can assign your favorites, and you also have this page. So you're not really limited to 20 channels. You can put as many channels as you want, and you can use these pages. So again, to remember, you're not limited at all using this console. Depending on what kind of display you have this mode. You can change different modes. You can use this button right here to show your screen. So for example, like this is hidden. This will show the console 1 mixing system. And now you have the section right here. You have the strip section, you can change the order, you can invert your phase here, you have the external side chains, you can send filters to different parameters. So for example, the thing I like personally is to use this high pass filter right here to send this to my compressor, as you can see here, so I can isolate the low end frequencies from triggering the compression. This is an amazing thing and you commonly see me talking about this. So before we move on to some advanced features, I wanted to show you how cool this console looks like and what you can also do to basically a bit personalize it for your studio and make it look even more beautiful when you're, for example, not using it. So for example, you can put the logo of your studio or of your productions. For example, I put my own logo of my studio here on this screen and we have the watch right here. I can make a dedicated tutorial on how to put this in, you just let me know in the comments. Now, if you want this console to stay like this in your studio when you're not working with it, it's okay. But if you want it to light and create some kind of a light show, which I personally like, you can click on Shift and then this bypass. Now, look what happens here. We have a very cool light show to have within your studio when you're, for example, not using the console, or if you want to take some pictures, some videos of your studio. This looks very cool. Another thing what you can do, when you have some music playing in your DAW, you can also switch here, just click on this button and this will basically create audio reactive light show. So if I play some music, you can see some light show playing here. Now let's get some audio playing so you can see what's happening here. So we have that LED meter I mentioned on this specific channel because I have this plugin loaded on only one channel for the purpose of this tutorial. We have the meters going on both sides. But now what you can do is, for example, you have this section here which says load strip or section. If you click, you'll be having this menu in front of your eyes. You can look on this display on your console or you can look on the screen. To pick this, you don't necessarily use your mouse. You can use this volume knob which can pick the different console that you want to be emulated on this unit, which sounds also incredible. So for example, you have the American Class A, British Class A, you have the Chandler Limited, which sounds incredible, you have the Summit Audio, Vice, SSL, you have many different emulations. This all depends on what you prefer. Now if you press and hold, you can see different sections you can load. So you can switch between strip, type or preamp, you can use different filters, equalizers, compressors, and all of that you can control while holding and also moving with your volume knob. And then you can select, for example, this section, click on OK. So now you have different compressors that you can use within this console. So for example, this Shadow Hills Class A, which you all know I personally really like. To load this, you can just click on OK. And it automatically loaded in your compression section right here. To enable, just press the on button. Now you have the Shadow Hills and you can control the tag, you can control the ratio right here, release, you can also control the threshold and make different adjustments. So this is very interesting. Now another way to load, which I personally prefer, is, for example, I like to click this button and then click the specific section I want a specific effect to be loaded. So for example, I will click this and then this equalizer section to be loaded on this first equalizer slot, and then I will pick, for example, my favorite curve bender, click on OK. Now I have the curve bender set as my first equalizer on the console. I can choose different types, shell filter, I can adjust the frequency for each band to my personal desire. I can change the filter type or keep it bell like this, adjust if I want to boost, if I want to cut, change the frequency, do many different things. So now the section you all been waiting for. I'll now show you how I use the Console 1 channel and how you can use it in your productions. So this is a very flexible tool that you can use for many different case scenarios. So mute myself, you enjoy the results, and let me know what you think about Console 1. So I hope you enjoyed this video, you enjoyed the audio demos, you enjoyed the explanation about the Softube Console 1 channel MK3. Do you use it or do you plan to invest and use it in your studio? And also let me know what kind of gear and possibly units you want me to review in the next video. Take care and see you in the next video.